Coming to you from a drive-through haunted house, I'm RJ Balde, and this is the Trichome's Hashitout podcast. On this show, we feature conversations about trending cannabis topics. We also bring in industry insiders and influencers to discuss their point of view. In this episode, I'll be talking to Derek Stucki about the role that aromas have on cannabis stigmatization. We'll also talk about the proprietary all-natural formula that goes into his cannabis odor-eliminating products, the extended uses of those products beyond cannabis, and more. Without further ado, it's time to hash it out. Today, I am joined by Derek Stucki, National Sales Manager for the Cannabis Aroma Eliminator, Cannabusters. Who you gonna call? Welcome to the show, Derek.
Cannabusters.
That's right. That's
How you
right.
doing, RJ?
You know what? We are thriving and surviving. You know, we're making our way through this year, one foot in front of the other at a time, man. I understand that you're joining me virtually from your mobile office in Long Beach. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely, RJ. Thanks again for having me on. Great to talk with you and great to get the word out about what we're doing. But my mobile office is truly grand from the beginning of the pandemic. Everybody said, stay home. I said, I ain't staying home. I came down to Long Beach Club, parked under a tree, and sat in my Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, as I am now, connect to the internet through my phone and do business. So here I am doing business.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. So how long have you been working out of the van now? How many months?
Oh, well, literally since the beginning of the shutdown, that I won't be shut down.
Wow.
I have too much to do to be shut down. So It's interesting, though. You know, you see at the beginning and in the thick of it all, the place was a ghost town, not a soul stirred. And now I'm seeing more and more people out and about, and it's very refreshing to see people actually moving around and living their lives. And not
it is refreshing. Yeah, it is refreshing to see, huh? Like, it was obviously it's obviously the safe thing to socially distance and keep safe, but it is so weird, and it was so weird to see all the images of just like empty streets and like an empty Times Square or an empty Hollywood Boulevard and things like that. It was very jarring, and the images were very anxiety generating and very sad to see too. So I am glad to see that to some extent people are starting to see each other at least a little bit more.
100%, brother. I'll tell you one thing. It was surreal and unnerving for sure. But, they keep saying that vitamin D and sunshine kills it, so I spend a lot of time out here. Works for me.
Hey, if anything, it's an excuse to get a good tan, man.
100%. I never look better.
Catch those rays. That's right. That's right. Well, good, man. I'm glad to hear, I'm glad to hear that in the midst of all the chaos that has ensued this year, that that you're doing well and that you're thriving and you're staying safe and you're staying healthy. How has the mobile office affected your workflow at all? Is it easier, or are there things that are more difficult about it?
Oh, no. I typically work from home anyway. As a sales manager, I travel when I must and get to, and work from home the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a different home. And it's perfect because the view got much better. I'm looking out across sailboats and masts and water and trees and birds, and it's just beautiful. So I'm a happy camper.
Right. Yeah, you're literally a happy camper. You can't beat the waterfront view.
Oh no, you can't even buy that, brother. And I'm enjoying it.
Right.
Right on.
Where you're at right now is probably that's like $3,000 a month of rent right there that you're that you've kind of got by.
To imagine.
So I understand you are somewhat of a specialist in odor elimination. You say that you're a crusader saving smelly places from themselves. So tell me how you got into the world of odor elimination.
It's pretty simple. I answered an ad. They asked me to come and interview, and I rolled up on the place and I said, "This is far away from my house. I don't want to drive this far." I looked at the building. I said, "This is rather
Mm-hmm.
small and rinky-dink." I met the people. It was a tiny crew and a small business, in business for a dozen years, but still small. And then they showed me the product, and my mind was blown.
Wow.
I looked at that product, and here's what it is. I'm just going to tell you the secret sauce right now.
Please.
It is a odor eliminator that is fragrance free, but that eliminates odor upon contact, eliminates odor upon contact, and is so safe that I spray it in my mouth every time I do a demo.
No way.
Now, let's put some context on that, RJ. Last year, Cannabusters exhibited at 26 cannabis trade shows across the country.
Mm-hmm.
My demo includes spraying a napkin with ammonia, having people smell it and go, "Oh my God, that's ammonia."
Mm-hmm.
Spray Cannabusters on top, have them smell it and say, "I don't smell anything." And while they're looking at me, I go, "Ch-ch-ch," right here in my mouth.
Oh man.
Because the active ingredient that actually eliminates the odor
Mm-hmm.
is iodine, which is
Right.
an addition in your table salt. We eat iodized table salt because iodine is such a necessary nutrient for human health,
Mm-hmm.
and it is such low availability that it's added to your table salt. So what we've done, and I'll tell you the science about it in a minute, but what we've
Sure.
done is we've taken nature's way of cleaning the air, put it in a bottle so that you can spray it on the outside of your greenhouse, distribution warehouse, manufacturing facility, extraction facility, where we apply that science and eliminate those odor molecules to keep your neighbors happy and to reduce or eliminate complaints.
Wow. That's so deep. Now, I understand that the iodine sort of system that has been developed is first of all, it's patented, a patented system.
I do want to share a quick story with you, though, RJ. Shortly after I went to work for the company, the manufacturer of Cannabusters, I was on the bike trail with my little dog at night, and a skunk came across the trail.
Mm.
So you know how that movie plays. He gets sprayed, which
Oof.
is not good, but I
Right.
wasn't thinking. I bent over and I picked up Bentley, my little guy, and I said, "Dear God, now I've got skunk on my hands, and that's
Oh.
horrendous."
Oh, oh
So
no.
here's what I did. Got home, I sprayed Cannabusters on Bentley and on my hands, and RJ, the skunk odor was gone. Period. Eliminated
Wow.
100%.
Wow. Now that's crazy because growing up in the Midwest, I've had a run-in or two with a
Uh-huh.
skunk, and that is a very pungent aroma. That is a very it
That's a very
sticks
nice
with
way to
you.
say
It
it, my
sticks
friend.
with you. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, man.
Exactly.
So, if you
So,
could have told 14-year-old me riding bikes through wooded trails and getting, sprayed by skunks occasionally, that there would be something, that would actually be effective other than like home remedies that I used, all of them pretty much. That would have been dope to know if you were a time
yeah,
traveler and you could have let
right.
me know that as a teen.
A little too
Yeah.
late today, but
I
nevertheless, if it ever
know.
happens again, you know who to call.
You know what? And you know what? We we don't have a shortage of skunks yet. So you know what? It'll probably happen sooner or later. I'm overdue actually.
Go ahead and let that out in the universe, so you'll be calling me sooner rather than later.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. I can see skunks in my future now. We're manifesting it. We're
Yeah,
making it
there you
come
go.
true.
Oh, this is funny.
Now, how does the iodine work specifically? I understand that it effectively dismantles the molecules in the airstream. How does that work exactly?
Thanks for asking the question. And I'm going to confess right up front that I am not a chemist,
Mm-hmm.
but I love the product and I have a good basic understanding of how it works. So before I answer that, let's go back to nature
Sure.
and let me tell you how nature does what it does. Plant life in the ocean off gases iodine. As
Mm-hmm.
part of the growth habit, it evaporates with water into clouds. In the clouds, ultraviolet rays activate the iodine,
Mm-hmm.
making it iodine 2 or activated iodine, and then it rains. And you go, it smells so clean.
Yeah.
Part of that is the natural iodine cycle washing the air.
Huh.
It, of course, then falls to the soil. Plants take it up. Animals eat the plants. We eat both. Unless you're vegan, it's okay. Um, the point is, it's a natural process that's already going on. And we figured out how to put that into a bottle. Of course, we have the IP rights, the trademarks, and all that in place. But what we do then is we deploy that in a fog or a mist, for instance, on the outside of a greenhouse fan.
Mm.
And every odor molecule that the iodine comes to contact with is dismantled. And that's what we'll talk about now. As I understand it, the iodine, uh, in the oxidative process, it oxidizes, it
Mm-hmm.
pulls out hydrogen from the odor molecule. The hydrogen piece is stripped out. Remaining components collapse, typically CO2 and water.
Mm-hmm.
And that odor molecule has now been changed and will never smell again.
Wow.
That is the science in a nutshell, as best as I can understand and explain it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I know is it works, boss.
Is it
It works
worked?
really
Hey, and
good,
that's the
whether
bottom
it's
line.
trash or sewer or skunk. It works really
Yeah.
good on cannabis, though.
Yeah. And
Really good
and
on cannabis.
what's great about it is you mentioned that it eliminates the odor rather than just, masking it with a different aroma. Because I understand Cannabusters is totally unscented. It's not a cover-up process. It's an effective elimination, which is I think differentiates it from other products.
Thank you for pointing that out because there are many products in the market, and every one of them is a fragrance based product.
Mm-hmm.
And their approach to odor control is to mask, they use the word encapsulate, but the problem
Yeah.
is what you smell then is cannabis and pine, cannabis and cherries,
Mm-hmm.
or banana cannabis, or, something, but it's still there. We
Sure.
actually eliminate by oxidation each odor molecule that we touch, and it's simply not there. It's gone.
Yeah. And you know what? Even though banana cannabis sounds kind of good, um, in terms of
Right?
in terms of odor elimination, maybe not what you want if that's what you're looking for, for sure. Now, in what ways, if any, is uh, the aroma from cannabis and from cannabis smoke different from other odors in terms of effective elimination? Is there something different that you have to do for cannabis smoke that you may not have to do for other aromas? Or is it pretty similar process for each?
Well, I think underneath your question there is really the core and the crux of the issue. And the issue is if you're driving down the road and go past a landfill and you say, oh crap, that's trash stinks, dude. It's
Mm-hmm.
trash. We know what trash is. Nobody has a problem with trash,
Right, right,
right?
right.
Because we know what it is. Sewer, the same thing. Or, a feedlot. Oh, damn, those cows stink. But they're
Mm-hmm.
cows. But you
Right.
say, wow, I smell pot. All of a sudden, because of the stigma around cannabis, people are thinking, oh crap, crime rates are going to go up and my
Mm-hmm.
property value is going to go down and I'm scared about this. And so I'm going to call somebody and complain.
Mm-hmm.
That is the crux of the issue. And by eliminating those cannabis odors, and whether you're using it personally on a consumer basis to smoke, and I've got a couple stories to share, or
Hmm.
whether you're using it commercially, and that's Cannabusters' focus, because you're growing uh, 3 acres of cannabis plants in a greenhouse, or extracting 1,500 pounds of product a week in an extraction facility or distributing or whatever, when that air leaves and it smells like cannabis, you're almost guaranteed to upset the apple cart around you, and the neighbors will not be happy.
Right.
So by
Right.
eliminating that odor, we put a professional look on the world of cannabis, and I think shorten the time that the stigma will take to go away.
Totally. Yeah, that is, I think, an aspect of cannabis stigmatization in particular that I think gets overlooked. A lot of the focus is on changing the image of, the quote unquote stoner, or the marketing, or the literal image, the literal visual image of cannabis. But, the aroma of cannabis is another very important aspect that gets overlooked because it's not as in your face unless unless you're smelling it, of course. But yeah, so a big part of what you're doing at Cannabusters is to overcome that cannabis stigma by dealing with the odor of cannabis. In an article you did with MMJ Daily, you said that cannabis in particular, rather, the subjectivity of perfume for some and odor for others makes it unique. And that sort of differentiates it from, like you said, a sewer or a landfill where, you're not expecting to smell roses when you drive past one of those things.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so how? Tell me about how you tread that line, because for some they enjoy that smell, and then for some, it facilitates this negative stigma that,
Reaction.
this devil's weed, or this devil's lettuce is going to invade our
Double
town.
weed, double lettuce.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah.
So, RJ, interestingly enough, the ASTM, which is the people who put out standards for measuring everything on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
the ASTM standard for odor detection is a panel of human noses. And as you mentioned, to someone who enjoys smoking some flower,
Mm-hmm.
it's a wonderful aroma.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who is against it, it's a horrifying smell because of all the implications that come up in their minds. And
Right.
so the best way to deal with it is to eliminate it. And therefore, and by the way, adding to this sort of part of the conversation, odor and light pollution are the two biggest complaints around cannabis nationwide and in continent wide, in Canada
Wow.
as well. Spent a lot of time there.
Mm-hmm.
So light pollution in greenhouses because of light depth and that I can't do a thing about that. But the odor, I can absolutely eliminate it or reduce it to the point that it's no longer effective or offensive to the neighbors that surround the facility.
Got it. Got it.
Let's switch it up just a minute. I want to
Please.
throw at you something new here.
Please.
Cannabreezy. So Cannabreezy is my brand new consumer-facing retail product, and it's the very same product but facing the consumer. Cannabreezy, consumer. Cannabusters, commercial.
Gotcha.
So I was at one of the many trade shows last year, RJ. I was standing in the booth, and a guy rolls up on me and says, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And I looked at him and said, "Do I know you?" he says, "Look, dude, I left the last trade show with a 2-ounce sample bottle of your Cannabusters.
Uh-huh.
I was just finishing the blunt in the car when the red lights came on in my rearview mirror."
Oh shit.
That's the frightening moment, right?
That's every yeah,
But
that's
the guy says,
I just got a
"That's an oh
flash.
shit
I just got
moment, dude."
PT. Yeah, just triggered something. That just triggered something in me, man.
So the guy says, he goes, "I pulled over, broke it, I went throughout the car, And I rolled down the window and said, "Can I help you, officer?" Because there was zero smell in the car.
Yo, yeah.
So,
That I'm just like visualizing
I told
myself
you
in
we
that
talked more.
situation. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think that far too many people are going to identify with that story and say, "Dude, where have you been all my life?"
Yeah, for real, for real. Everyone listening that just heard that part and just attached it to a deep, sort of like repressed memory. Like they're all
A very
Googling right
disturbing one.
now. Yeah, they're all Googling right now. So for those of you listening who have also had that same exact situation happen to you, go to thecannabusters.com and find out more about
Thank you for
how
saying the "the." That's
I
important.
got you.
The
Oh yeah,
Cannabusters.
I got you. Yeah, the Cannabusters, the one and only, the one and only. That's right.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Do you like the smell of cannabis? Like for you personally?
I do.
Yeah.
So, about me briefly, I'm an old guy. In fact, I'll be 60 next week on the 28th.
Wow. Happy early
I
birthday.
smoked in my young days. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I feel
Hmm.
great. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I'm strong. Sometimes I
Love it.
smell strong too, but Cannabusters takes care of that
That's
too.
right. That's right. There you
So I
go.
smoked when I enjoyed flower when I was in the Navy in Hawaii, but didn't
Oh,
smoke
sure.
for 40 years that ensued after exposure to the industry through Cannabusters and all the trade shows. I met at least two people, sometimes up to five people at every single trade show who spoke of their own struggle with some physical ailment that cannabis helped them through.
Mm,
And then the research that's coming out about how that our bodies have endocannabinoid receptors.
hmm.
And I figured, look, if the creator of our bodies put those in there, obviously we should use the product. And
Right.
so I enjoy some flower and I enjoy the aroma, but I don't want to smell like that when I go to the grocery store or to the post office or to the bank, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where this shit
Yeah.
comes in handy. Spray your
Yeah.
hair, you spray your car, you spray your clothes. It's non-staining, non-sensitizing, non-toxic, non-cytotoxic. It's completely safe,
That's
and
so rad.
you don't smell like that. You don't get those sideways glances, from people when you pass them.
Yeah, man. Oh man. And you know what? Like if we're just speaking candidly, like after you've enjoyed or partaken in a sesh, like those sideways glances are the last things you want to see because you're already like hyper aware in a lot of
Yes,
cases. Like the last
yes,
thing you want, like for me,
yes,
I'm always thinking about it. Like I'm always thinking about like if I'm in a public place like fresh off of a sesh, like I'm always thinking about
yeah,
like how I smell. And it's just kind of always in the back of my head. Some more times than others, depending on the situation. But um yeah,
sure,
so
sure, sure.
this is definitely a product that would give me some massive peace of mind, if anything else.
And there ain't
um
nothing wrong with peace of mind, boss.
there is nothing wrong with peace of mind. You know what? And we have to find all the peace in our minds now more than ever. That's for damn sure.
And all the pieces of my mind as well. I need those
You
too.
know what? I'm still trying to pick up all those pieces, man. I'm- Every now and again, I'll find a
Yeah,
piece on the
all the things
floor.
I lost
Like,
in my mind, I miss the most.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Every now and again, I'll
uh,
find a piece of my mind on the floor, and I'll be like, "When did I lose that part, man? How long is that? How long did that
yeah,
fall out?"
but I'm glad to find it again. I need it back.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, this is fun. Thanks, RJ. I
Yeah.
appreciate this. This is a blast.
Yeah, no worries, man. No, totally, totally. That's so rad. And did you think at all that you would be, at any point this year recording a podcast in a Sprinter van is somewhere in a parking lot in Long Beach today talking about Cannabusters, man? That's so funny.
I am ready at all times for any opportunity that comes my way. And so here we are. And I can't think of
Love
a
it.
better way to spend these few minutes together. So thanks, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. I understand that you also have you talked about the stigmatization or the destigmatization rather of cannabis by using Cannabusters and mitigating or eliminating odor. I understand that another big focus that you have on odor mitigation is the role that it plays in building permit requirements for licensed cannabis businesses. So apart from the cultural sort of destigmatization aspect, can you go a little into how it plays a role in building requirements for the legal cannabis industry?
Well, RJ, I'll tell you that as more and more states legalize, they look at other states and
Mm-hmm.
how they've gone through the process of legalizing cannabis as an industry, which filters its way all the way down into the local planning and permit requirements. And virtually every jurisdiction now is requiring what's called an OMP, or odor management plan.
Oh wow.
Uh, in the main, and by far, the go-to product for odor control has been carbon filtration, which works
Okay.
wonderfully until it stops working. And the reason it
Mm.
stops is because activated carbon, by its nature, is porous. Odor molecules get trapped in the porosity of the carbon. But once those
Mm-hmm.
odor molecules fill up the pores that can trap them, it simply passes through, which means now you
Got
have
it.
to change out that carbon filter. Not an inexpensive proposition. If it's a sizable
Mm-hmm.
um, facility, that can run into tens of thousands of dollars a year very easily, not to mention the time away from growing and doing what we're doing to change these filters and disposal costs, etc.
Wow.
So that's been sort of the go-to. It's not practical. It's not financially sustainable, and it's not physically practical if you're talking about a greenhouse. Greenhouses, as you may
Mm-hmm.
know, a popular way to grow cannabis, obviously, they need to be able to exchange the entire air volume within the structure at least once a minute or once every 2 minutes. When you put
Mm-hmm.
a carbon filter on an exhaust fan, you reduce the airflow by 50%.
Wow.
Now, think about it holistically. They engineer this thing. They say, we'll need this many fans to move this much air, and suddenly we're going to cut that fan airflow by one half. Ouch.
Oof. Yeah.
Now, you're either reducing your production by one half because you need the airflow, or I don't know, things don't go well.
Right.
So, all that to say this, I want to add one more thing into this. Obviously, carbon filtration works, but not very well. Fragrances simply don't work.
Uh-huh.
Cannabusters works every single time. In fact, the greenhouse up in Pennsylvania, who started with a product in their misting system on their exhaust fans
Uh-huh.
and got such pushback from the town that they changed to a second product, also fragrance based, and continued to get pushback until we were brought in. Everybody in the town quit complaining.
Wow.
You
Now,
can't make that stuff up.
I know, right? Like the proof is right there. The proof is right there in
Yeah, yeah.
the lack of complaints, I guess. So you have
Well,
this.
yeah, odor complaints go away. That's the key.
Right, right. The odor goes away, the complaints go away. Like, what else? What other proof do you need? Now, so you already have this system in facilities around the nation.
Yes, sir. As I said, we
Okay.
launched the product last January, February, did 26 trade shows,
Okay.
and currently have 13 installations across the country and in Canada. Pandemic or not, there's a ton of interest. Um, Anything from manufacturing to distribution warehouses to obviously growth production facilities. They're all looking at ways because, all it takes is a couple neighbors to get upset and your life just gets a lot more complicated. Now
Yeah.
you've got enforcement
Yeah.
folks from the local government trying to figure out how to help you not lose your license because neighbors are complaining about the odor. and you can go down that little toilet
Mm-hmm.
swirling the wrong direction in the wrong way for pretty fast. So I got to throw another curveball at you here. So, RJ, another thing that's going on
Sure.
is that governmental folks in Vancouver, BC, in Denver, some in Michigan, are collaborating to figure out how much biological, volatile, organic compound, we'll call it BVOC, and we all know that VOCs contribute to greenhouse gas and ozone depletion, etc. So those folks are looking at cannabis really hard to quantify how much BVOC is being produced by cannabis. And my friend, once they put a number on that, those government agencies are going to come knocking on our doors and saying, knock, 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 you owe us a carbon tax.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
That's not good news. The last thing that the cannabis world needs is another tax. Here's the good news. Cannabusters eliminates terpenes upon contact.
No way. Wow.
If the terpenes, and by the way, all plants on the planet create terpenes for various reasons. The challenge is that when you put, 1,500 or 40,000 plants in a building, the air that comes out of that is loaded, right, with terpenes. Right. But when we touch them, we eliminate them by oxidation, and we have third-party proof. So if you are treating your odor emissions, your exhaust air with Cannabusters, and they come knock on your door and say, you owe us a carbon tax, you can say, wait a cotton picking, chicken plucking minute. We're eliminating it. Right?
Yeah. Interesting. Now, how do you find the balance in mitigating that effect and not eliminating terpenes that you might want in your cannabis flower?
Now that, my friend, is a perfect question, and I'll tell you the simple answer. We don't spray this product inside of anywhere that plants are being grown, processed, extracted, or whatever. We always and only treat air that is being exhausted from facilities.
Got it.
So greenhouse, 54-inch fan that moves about 45,000 cubic feet of air per minute. On the outside that fan, we're going to put a stainless steel misting ring. We have water that's dosed with Cannabusters at 1,000 psi, going to tiny nozzles on that ring. And as soon as that fan kicks on, the pump kicks on.
Got it.
We push the Cannabusters loaded or dosed water in a fine fog into that airstream. And those little droplets of water, they're micron size, 5 to 10 micron, are swirling around in that big mass of air that's leaving. And we're just touching and oxidizing terpenes on the spot as it blows.
Got it. So it eliminates all the odors, and then at the same time keeps the plants safe. It doesn't affect the plants at all, which is naturally what you would want anyway. So that's good news. Now, what
Let me circle back around real quick.
Yeah,
RJ,
please do.
You just mentioned, because
yes, please do.
The iodine itself is not harmful to plants. In fact, if you want to do a little drilling down, you'll find that iodine is a micronutrient in all fertilizers. So iodine itself is good for the plants. Activated iodine, it's going to eliminate the terpene smells on the plant. And that's what we don't want to do in cannabis. We want to all the stay right there.
Right.
And so we're going to treat the air that leaves. And there you go.
Got it.
That's a fine point I just wanted to mention to you.
Got you. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for clearing that up. Now, what's next for Cannabusters? Legalization is it's still spreading into many more states. I think today is Missouri's first day of medical cannabis sales. So what's next for Cannabusters? Do you have plans to enter the markets as they legalize in different states?
The plan for Cannabusters is to own the world of cannabis odor control, period.
Boom.
And that means yes. Every market that opens up, we're there. We're putting out our feelers and getting boots on the ground and talking to people and getting the word out. And that's why I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you, RJ and Trichomes, for having me on, because look, it's in everybody's best interest that we present the most professional step and face of cannabis to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a soldier in the trenches helping people get that done.
Mm-hmm.
Because again,
I love
odor
it, man.
and light pollution, two biggest complaints.
Yeah. Now, do you have any plans for addressing light pollution? Because you've got odor down.
Nah,
Nah.
that's not my wheelhouse, man.
Nah, that's not for me.
Well,
nah, I'll stick with the
if
odors.
you talk to guys who are that are in the greenhouse world, there's ways you could work around that. It's people just aren't paying attention, I think. But if you're out in a rural area and there's a greenhouse and it's time for those lights to have light and they have the curtains open, it shines like a beacon, brother. You can see it for miles.
Yeah, it's like a supernova, like somewhere in the forest.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it looks like a UFO landed or something.
It's funny, but yeah,
no
light's
doubt.
not my thing. Odor's absolutely my thing. I love my product. I love what I do. I love working with people, and we do it from the start to the finish. You have a problem? Let's look at what it is. Let's give you some counsel, some guidance, some ideas. Let's give you a proposal on what it would take to do a system for you. And I'll even include the cost it's going to take to maintain the system in terms of product use, which, by the way, is a fraction of the cost of all the fragrances, simply because fragrance is freaking expensive.
It is, isn't it?
And we manufacture right here in Orange County.
Yeah.
So it's a U.S.-made product, and
I love that, man. And where can our listeners go to find out more? I mentioned the website earlier, but where, let's just remind them one more time where they can go to find out more about Cannabusters. And for those who want to find out more about what you're up to, where can they find that out?
Absolutely. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Derek Stucki. And of course, the Cannabusters, preceded by www, is the website, thecannabusters.com. And I'd love to talk to anybody who has questions or comments. And by all means, if I can help you overcome challenges, that's what I'm here to do.
I love it.
But
saving the world one odor at a time.
But odor challenges, not light.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right, man. Right on, man. Well, Derek, thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation with me. Thank you for joining me virtually in your mobile studio on wheels, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the conversation, and I thank you so much for being generous with your time. And yeah, thanks, man. Thanks again, and I hope you continue to stay safe out there.
We are going to continue to crush it and thrive. And thank you, RJ and Trichomes, for this opportunity. And anybody who has any questions about odor at all, feel free to reach out to me, and let's have a conversation. And let's get things squared away for you.
Let's do it, and let's clear the air, if you will. How's that?
Right.
How's that for a tagline, huh?
I love it. Let's clear the air.
Well, right on,
let's
man.
Do that.
Yeah, let's clear the air. I like that. That's all for you. That's free. You can use that one.
Use that, yeah. Free of charge. You just keep giving,
free of charge.
First one's
free. Yeah. First one's free. First one's on the house. I got you. Well, hey, man. I hope that when the air does clear up out there, literally when we don't have an airborne threat facing us, that hopefully we can meet up in our own respective vans in that parking lot and maybe hash it out for an episode 2. Yeah,
okay,
man.
RJ, before we sign off, you just mentioned something that jogged my memory, and I need to mention this because it's earth-shattering, groundbreaking on an atomic level. The activated iodine in my product has been third-party tested and shown twice and proven that it inactivates the COVID-19 virus.
Whoa. Now that is a Trichomes exclusive right there.
Right?
Wow.
Okay. So before we get too excited about it, I will tell you that we are working hard to get EPA approval of our claim. But the claim was set up to demonstrate the way that in the medical community, we always talk about a hard surface disinfection.
Mm-hmm.
So chlorine has long been the winner because they can simply get more chlorine to solution than you can iodine. Mm-hmm. However, when it comes to specifically the COVID-19 virus, and as an aside, all viruses have a membrane around them. They're not really alive, but if you pierce that membrane, they fall apart and they are inactivated and they cannot reproduce. So the test was set up to put a bunch of COVID-19 viruses on a hard surface and treat the surface with our product, the activated iodine. Mm-hmm. And within the first test was in 60 minutes, we had 3 logs of kill. So think about 99.999. That's 3 logs.
Right.
Within 30 minutes, there were 3 logs of kill. Within 60 minutes, there were 0.999995 logs of kill or inactivation. Uh-huh. So as soon as we have EPA, the rubber stamp that yes, it does what you're saying it does, then we can go public and actually blow the world apart with this stuff. But that's pretty exciting. This iodine too, the activated iodine, is such a phenomenal natural product, safe product. And by the way, it eliminates cannabis odor.
Whoa.
Or aroma, whichever you choose.
Yeah, sure. Perfume, if you will, even. Yeah. Wow. So how far along are you on that process to getting that certification?
You know, we are in the pipeline. They had a really good fast track for a short while in the thick of the pandemic. And our sister company got their medical application. It's a spray, the same product inside, a spray for masks that was approved by EPA as effective against the COVID-19 virus. And so that's already done. And the pathway's there. It's just government's wheels grind slow, but exceedingly fine, as somebody once observed.
Indeed. Indeed, they do. That is an apt observation. But that is such amazing news, man. I like that you just sort of like just drop that as like an extra. Oh, by the way, like that's so awesome. That's such awesome news.
Boom.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Now that is what I like to call clearing up the air right there.
All right, you are, brother.
That is so rad, man. Well, best of luck with that process. I hope all goes well, and I hope to see that, that big, bold headline on the Cannabusters website as soon as you can add that, because that is really rad news.
Nobody's more impatient than I, but yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. That is so rad. Well, Derek, thank you again, man. That is so awesome. Such a great note to end off on, man. Thank you again so much for joining me. And, once that does go through, please don't hesitate to reach out and we can, again, hash it out for an episode 2 once that happens. But yeah, Derek, thank you so much again, man. Continue to stay safe, and we will talk to you real soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks, RJ.
My thanks again to Derek Stucki for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@trichomes.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at trichomes.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by trichomes.com. I'm RJ Balde. Thanks for listening.